Okay, thank you for listening to my blog post here. I'm just doing these generic posts. I'm not really sure what to name this, but there is a couple mysteries about 9/11 that I wanted to tackle. But as you know, there's some breaking news last night, along with a fire that happened in Atlanta. I don't really quite know the whole story there, but I just heard about last night when the FBI released 27 images onto Twitter. I read the part of the article in Daily Caller and then CBS News, and just flooded the Google page. So it's obviously an interesting story. I wonder where we're going with this, and I think there was this tendency to question some things lately. I don't know. I got the sixth sense that this was. I didn't know personally. I don't think any of us knew this would come out, but there was a sixth sense that something was swirling around, and kept hearing about the 9/11. I think over time, if you start really trying to learn more about it, and I was just reading through the FBI.gov site about the special agents that were assigned to different locations, you would come away that there's still a lot more that has not yet fully been reported or investigated. I'm not quite sure. I can say that most of us have asked these questions for a while. I can only remember what happened in the aftermath, like the day of 9/11. I was in my apartment and I looked down from my apartment, and I live outside of Pittsburgh, so we were very close to the Flight 93 wreckage. I'm sorry. But I looked down outside and I noticed even the people in the bars were singing God Bless America. This was a game changer. This is when some of us woke up and asked questions and followed the war. There was a time I might have supported the Iraq war until I really got into something. I had to almost abandon my personal beliefs. I mean, I can't support something. You can't be honest. You got to be true to yourself. I can't support a war if I don't know. I don't know. I think many of us made justifications for the war in Iraq. After the aftermath, I think most people were right from the beginning. We don't really have to be in Iraq. There might have been a justification for it. And some of us had to believe whatever it is we had to believe in order to support it. But I supported the troops. That's the whole point. I didn't necessarily support the reasons for going into Iraq, and I think that's what most people I know, they supported the troops. They didn't want to see the troops go to war. A wartime president, George W. Bush, having served under George H.W. Bush, I mean, really, up to the point that I served, there wasn't really any war other than some, that's not true. There have been definitely some operations, but a war like Desert Storm and then Iraq, serving under George H.W. Bush, I don't know. I just wouldn't have done with that whole thing. But what I really want to share with you is another odd phenomenon. And I'm not one to get into these odd urban legends, but I do like them. It's an interesting story, but it's the clock. Now, it used to happen to me about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where the clock would just turn 9/11. And obviously, I felt a very close connection to 9/11, as so many did. But my ex-husband, his cousin, was in Tower 2, and he was part of the search and rescue, at that moment. So I was close to it enough, but what really made it odd is the clock would turn 9/11 several times, and I would text my sister. I was like, what do you think this is? It's so weird. My clock, every time I would look at my clock or my phone, it would be 9/11 in the morning and then 9/11 at night, and it hasn't happened in a while. And then it happened this morning, and I had to share this story because if you dig away at the story, I went and did a search about other people that had these experiences, and the common thread to this, it's a mystery. I want to call it a mystery. The mystery of the clock turning 9/11. That's the name of it. Is that actually have a title, or maybe urban legends? Call it what you want. But I found this really interesting in my search today on, I want to say Hula. Okay, here it comes. Okay, so these were some of the comments that had the same they said it's the power of the subconscious. It is what it is. Hub pages, okay. So look at this. It's such a coincidence. Common. Many people have had the same experiences. It would turn 9/11. The clock would turn 9/11. It is a very interesting phenomenon. Now, I heard some people had other clock experiences, and there are several people that had this. They would wake up in the morning, and they would wake up and they would look at, and it was 9/11. Maybe I'll go down that road where I believe maybe that's the sign. There's a few signs here. I would say that is about as good as it gets for me because I can't really pin this one down. I don't know that anyone could, but to me, it's a sign. Okay, when something lights up, that's a sign. I want to tell you another story about signs because I love this story. I love telling this story. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we felt the other side of the 9/11 effects, like the shutdown of the apartments and buildings in downtown. All traffic was at a halt. They had completely shut down the city, and you have never seen a city shut down, like Pittsburgh included. Why? All the other cities that were affected were all shut down, including Pittsburgh, and it was a very weird day for us. And a lot of people don't talk about what happened to Pittsburgh that day. You hear about what happened in New York and Washington, but Pittsburgh was completely shut down. One of those other stories, but I want to share what happened to me as I was driving through Oklahoma, and it ties into kind of the same phenomenon about the sign. And it was a starry night like this, probably a lot darker, and I am from Pittsburgh, as I told you before. So what are the chances I'm in Oklahoma? I've never been to Oklahoma. I got lost. I was on a highway, and everything was just dark and starry. Kind of like that, but very dark. Okay, that's the best description. And I really told the story like I never saw cowboy hats. I saw cowboys on TV, but not in real time. And that's all I saw when I was at one of the truck stops as I was driving into Texas. And I was headed down to East Texas to check out an apartment. And I really wanted to stay, too. But long story short of it, I was stuck. I'm driving through Oklahoma. And I was getting nervous, that kind of nervous feeling like, okay, I know I went way too far and I'm low on gas. And I need to get a gas station. I did not see a gas station. And I was on pins and needles. And then I started praying. And I said, dear God, I know I'm from Pittsburgh, but please give me a sign. And then moments later, there was a sign on the right hand of the shoulder of the road saying Pittsburgh County. I was in Oklahoma, and to me that was evidence, a real sign. I'm on this road, Pittsburgh County. That was enough for me. So I knew I was not alone. I knew it was a sign, literally a sign on the shoulder of the highway. So there's no debate. Signs are real. It is what it is. He speaks to us, maybe. To me, that's how I look at it. I don't want to go down that road. I want to enjoy for what it is. I think it's an interesting story. And of course, being as it happened this morning, then this story broke, anything's possible.